Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge headfirst into a stack of sources to pull out the most useful insights and maybe uncover some surprising truths.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're stepping into the, well, often pretty intense world of business meetings.
Right.
You know, the scene, ideas getting pitched, strategies being formed, and that pressure, the pressure to perform is really palpable.
Yeah, you can feel it.
What's said is important, sure, but often the dynamics, the unspoken stuff, it's just as telling as the words.
Absolutely. It's a space where communication is, well, critical, but the power plays. They can be just as illuminating as the sales figures sometimes.
That's where the real story often is, isn't it?
Exactly.
So today, we're not just dissecting the words from a sales meeting, but really digging into those unspoken rules that kind of shape the outcomes.
Okay.
Our mission is to take a really deep dive into the specifics of one particular business sales meeting. We want to pull out key vocabulary, useful English expressions for talking sales strategy, making suggestions, responding. And beyond that, we're looking for those maybe surprising insights into workplace communication, leadership dynamics, the real world stuff.
And we're doing this based on just one source, but it's incredibly rich. It's a business English lesson transcript.
Okay.
It's basically a realistic dialogue. You've got a sales team, they're under pressure, and it gives you a kind of shortcut to understanding practical, real-world language and those subtle power plays you find in professional settings.
Right, a shortcut. So get ready to quickly grasp some language for your next business interaction maybe, and hopefully uncover some surprising truths about leadership and navigating those dynamics. Let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it. So first, let's set the stage. We need a couple of core expressions from our source. They're pretty crucial for understanding the dialogue we're about to get into. First up, drive sales.
Drive sales. Okay, it sounds active, like putting your foot on the gas pedal or something.
That's exactly it. It just means to increase sales, to sell more. If a company wants to drive sales, they want to boost those numbers, get more products moving.
Got it. Generating momentum.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the second expression is promotion. Now, be careful here. This isn't about getting a job promotion, moving up the ladder.
Okay. Important distinction.
Yeah. In this context, promotion means a marketing strategy. It's something a company does specifically to, well, drive sales.
That is a crucial distinction, isn't it? Because promotion, you hear that word, and you immediately think job, if you're not careful in a business context.
Right.
Our source gives some really vivid examples of this kind of marketing promotion. Like you go to the supermarket, you see a sign, buy one, get one free.
Classic.
That's a classic 2-for-1 promotion. Or maybe, that shampoo you usually buy for $5 is on sale for $4. That discount, that's also a sales promotion.
Exactly. It's all about giving customers an incentive, enticing them to buy more.
Okay, that makes sense. Vocabulary set.
Right. So with that foundation, let's jump into the actual meeting dialogue. This is where it gets really dynamic. As we talk through it, try to pay attention not just to the words, the language, but also the interactions, the tone, how things shift, especially when the pressure's on.
Right. So the scene opens, there's a manager talking to the team, and you can feel the urgency straight away. The manager says, all right, people, we're holding this meeting today because we've got to do something about our sales, and we need to do it now.
Wow, direct.
Very. He goes on, I want concrete solutions. How do you plan to drive sales? So high stakes right from the start.
Yeah, no messing around. It creates immediate pressure. So Roger, one of the team members, he steps up. He offers a suggestion.
Okay, brave soul.
He says, well, in fact, we're the most expensive in the market, so maybe we need to lower our prices to match the competitors.
Which is logical, right? If you're overpriced.
It does seem logical, but the manager's reaction, it's incredibly dismissive, instantly shuts him down.
Oh, what does he say? He says, lower our prices, not very creative, it'll never fly with Swan. Swan must be the boss, maybe the CEO.
Yeah.
And he adds, what kind of thinking is that? Geez, anyone else have a better plan?
Ouch. It'll never fly with Swan. That's blunt and pretty brutal publicly like that.
Yeah. What's the impact, do you think, on the team, on morale, when a manager just slams the door on an idea like that right away?
Well, it creates a chilling effect, doesn't it? People just clam up. They stop offering their best ideas because, who wants to be publicly rebuked like that?
Right. Risk gets too high.
Yeah, the manager's basically signaled he's not really looking for collaboration. He wants, well, who knows what he wants, but not that.
Yeah. It's easy to imagine the team just shrinking back. So then Natalie speaks up. She offers her idea.
Okay, second brave soul.
She says, tentatively, perhaps. A promotion. Maybe a 2-for-1 offer or something like that.
All right, a promotion, like we just defined.
Yeah.
And how does the manager react to Natalie?
Equally negative. Maybe even worse. He goes, what? That's the same thing. Bad idea. Really bad idea. Then he gets agitated. Damn it, people. Come on, think. The CEO will be here any minute. You can almost feel the tension ratchet up even more.
Wow. So he thinks a 2-for-1 promotion is the same as just lowering prices and calls it a really bad idea.
Apparently. But this is where it gets really interesting, kind of the core of the dynamic here. Just as the manager is tearing into Natalie's idea,
Yeah.
the CEO, this Mr. Swan, walks in.
Oh, perfect timing.
The atmosphere just shifts instantly. He says, hello, everyone. And you can imagine the manager and the team snapping to attention. Oh, Mr. Swan. Hello, Mr. Swan.
That shift must have been something you could cut with a knife. So Mr. Swan walks in, probably senses the tension.
Right. He asks directly, do we have any ideas yet?
Okay, the moment of truth.
Now, listen closely. This is where you see the leadership, or lack thereof, and the credit thing play out. The manager, without skipping a beat, turns to Mr. Swan.
And says,
Yes, Mr. Swan, we are kind of considering a 2-for-1 offer to get more competitive.
no way. He just completely takes Natalie's idea, the one he just called a really bad idea.
Exactly. Presents it like it was maybe even his idea, or at least the team's collective idea that he was leading.
Wow. Okay. So how does Mr. Swan, the CEO, respond to this 2-for-1 offer suggestion?
Well, Mr. Swan seems open to it. He says, a 2-for-1 promotion, huh? I kind of like the sound of that. Sounds like something we should consider.
Okay, so the CEO likes it.
And suddenly,
Yeah.
the manager's tune changes completely. The idea he just trashed.
Yeah.
Now, he says to Swan, yes, exactly. That's just what I was thinking. In fact, it's a brilliant idea. I'm glad we thought of that. Very creative.
Unbelievable. Brilliant idea. Glad we thought of that. Just moments after calling it bad.
Right. The CEO's approval totally flipped the manager's perception, or at least what he said his perception was. And notice how quick he was to take credit.
Well, it's a textbook example of how influence, especially from the top, can completely reshape the perceived value of an idea. And who gets the credit for it?
Absolutely. That meeting was a masterclass in power dynamics. But it also gave us some really useful phrases. Let's make sure those stick for you listening.
Good idea. Let's extract the practical language takeaways.
Okay, first up, match the competitors. Remember, Roger suggested lowering prices to match the competitors.
Right. And this phrase, it's not just about price, though it often is. It's kind of a strategic statement.
How so?
Well, when a company says they'll match the competitors, they're showing confidence, maybe being aggressive, or maybe just trying to neutralize a competitor's advantage. It basically means being as good as, or maybe even better than, others in your field.
Okay. Our source gives the example. We guarantee we can match the competitor's lowest price. It's about staying competitive.
Exactly. Then there's in the market. Roger also said they were the most expensive in the market.
Right. And here in the market, it just means in the industry, essentially.
Yeah, simple but useful. So if you say iPods are the most popular MP3 players in the market, you just mean in the MP3 player industry. It defines the competitive space you're talking about.
Got it. And finally, that really blunt phrase the manager used, it'll never fly.
Ah, yes. The idea killer.
He said Roger's idea, it'll never fly with Swan, meaning it won't work, or, more likely, it won't be accepted by the boss.
Precisely. Our source gives another example. That idea will never fly. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
It's a quick way of saying rejected, not going to happen.
And it's more than just rejection, isn't it?
Right.
It kind of shuts down the conversation. It implies the idea isn't just bad, but maybe the person suggesting it is out of touch.
Definitely. It can really stifle innovation like we saw in the meeting. People become afraid to suggest anything that might not fly.
Okay, so those are some key phrases.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about fluency sounding a bit more natural, maybe more like a native speaker.
Yeah, this is about adopting those common sort of idiomatic ways people actually talk.
Right, like instead of saying, perhaps a bit formally, he'll arrive soon, our source points out the manager used a more natural phrasing when he was agitated.
Ah, the CEO will be here any minute.
Exactly. Be here any minute. It adds that sense of immediacy. Sounds much more conversational.
It does. And another one, when you're discussing an idea you're thinking about, instead of maybe saying, we're thinking about this idea, which is fine,
Yeah?
a more professional, maybe slightly more native-like way, which Mr. Swan used, is it's something we should consider.
It's something we should consider. Okay, That sounds more like a thoughtful evaluation is happening or should happen.
Exactly. It implies consideration rather than just, random thought.
And one more for describing a really good idea. Instead of just sticking with, that's a great idea.
You can ramp it up a bit.
Yeah, the manager, once he changed his tune, called Natalie's idea.
Brilliant.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
It's just more expressive, adds a bit more punch. Good one to have in your toolkit.
Definitely. Brilliant is quite common, especially perhaps in British English, but widely understood.
Okay, good fluency tips. Now, let's dive a little deeper again, beyond just the language. Let's connect this back to those interpersonal dynamics we saw, that manager's style. It really makes you think about leadership, doesn't it?
It really does. He was, not very supportive, was he?
Not at all. He seemed more likely to scare people into silence rather than actually encourage them to contribute.
Yeah, you could feel that tension. And it makes you wonder, what kind of solutions would you even want to offer in an environment like that?
Right. I wonder if Roger was just kicking himself afterwards for even speaking up. It shows how quickly an environment can become, well, toxic for new ideas.
It absolutely does. And it raises a bigger question, doesn't it? What's the wider impact of that kind of leadership on a team beyond just one meeting?
Yeah.
Compare that to the contrast. Our source materials sometimes provide descriptions of good managers. Someone who, say, knew everyone's name, always said hello, and made me feel like I was part of a team.
That's a huge difference. That kind of leadership, that supportive environment, it makes people want to work hard, want to contribute.
Exactly. It fosters a place where ideas can actually be shared freely, debated constructively, not just shot down out of fear or because the manager's having a bad day.
That difference in approach is just massive for team morale, creativity, and, ultimately the results the team gets.
You have to wonder, if Natalie hadn't persisted, or if the CEO hadn't walked in just then, would that brilliant idea have ever seen the light of day? Or would the team have just remained stuck because the manager created a roadblock?
That's a great point. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, especially for those of you listening who might be managers or aspire to be, this deep dive offers a pretty clear lesson, right?
It does. It's a prompt to think. How can you, in your own role, make sure you're building an environment where ideas, even half-formed ones, are genuinely welcomed, not just when the big boss is watching?
Yeah, fostering that psychological safety.
Precisely.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Hopefully you've picked up some practical English phrases for business,
The vocabulary.
understood some key sales strategies like promotions, and really observed those critical communication dynamics in a high-pressure situation.
For me, the real standout insight, the aha moment, was definitely watching the manager's complete turnaround.
Oh, absolutely.
How the CEO's opinion just instantly transformed his view or stated view of Natalie's idea from really bad to brilliant.
It really wasn't just about the words themselves, was it? It was about who was listening, whose presence shaped the whole dynamic.
Spot on. So we'd encourage you, listening, to think about how these patterns, the good, the bad, the ugly, play out in your own professional life.
Yeah. Pay attention not just to what is said, but how it's received, and, crucially, who ends up getting the credit.
So maybe the final thought is this. Beyond just the vocabulary, what does this deep dive really teach us about the power of influence, perception, and hierarchy in the workplace?
And maybe, how can you use that insight? Not just to get your own ideas heard more effectively, but also to recognize, and maybe even foster, the kind of leadership that genuinely drives success by empowering the whole team.
That's the real challenge, isn't it?
It is. So next time you're in a business conversation, maybe try out phrases like match the competitors or consider this idea, but also think about the dynamics. Are you helping ideas fly or are they getting shot down?
Yeah, and share your own experiences too. We all learn from hearing about what works and what definitely doesn't when it comes to leadership and communication. Keep the conversation going.